Welcome to the South Florida Saltwater Fishing Report. I'm Heath, and it's time to get into the bite. All right, folks, welcome to the show. South Florida's ultimate resource for everything local fishing. We're going to go over what's biting, who's catching it, where it's being caught. We're also going to cover your future marine forecast, moon phase, and tide charts. Everything you need to know to help keep you in the bite locally. Before we get into this, though, if you want to learn more about fishing, grow as an angler, or just see some great and exciting offshore fishing adventures, you can start by hitting the subscribe button and joining the South Florida Saltwater Fishing family. All right, folks, let's get right into this. We're going to start out with some cold freshwater fishing. Mr. Ryan Reynolds went up north off of Long Island, and let's pull up our page here. We'll take a look. He's got a big old striper is what he said, right? Yes, big, nice striper on Long Island. Yes, so he went up north, did a little bit of so hey, there we go. How we doing? Thank you for showing up. All right, yes, Ryan Reynolds, nice solid fish. He looks a little chilly up there. Get him back down here, get him warmed up. All right, let's look for some shallow water stuff, shall we? Look for some inshore fish real quick. We got our feed. We got everybody out there. A ton of stuff happened over the weekend. I feel like the only person who didn't catch anything. Al Green. Hey, there we go. What's that guy? Always catching muttons in Broward. There's a couple of them. I'm not sure. I know there's, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll show up here. This is Al Green up north, still on the stone crabs. You know, hey, it's stone crab season, folks. So if you're out there getting them, go on ahead and go get them. Nico, out of, I forget where he said he caught this one out of, but he was caught the bluefish out of the intercoastal is what he said. So I thought they were kind of gone, but apparently not. All right, so yes, Nico with a solid bluefish too, you know, going home with some good eats. Let's see, what else do we got? Brian, this is his son Max with the another Southern Lake Michigan trout. Those things come good size too, man. Definitely. Another one up north. But hey, you know, hey guys, like we say, you know, if you post it, we're going to talk about it. All right. Thank you, Brian, for showing off. And yeah, man, hey, some nice fish up there. All right, let's go. Christina and Jose. So I can imagine this is Jose. They got in a little bit on the canoe and the kayak and got some lobster. So hey, again, it's still lobster season, folks. So don't give them all the way to the commercial guys. You can get out there and get them. And let's see. Yes, here we have Marlo Kennedy Aleva, smallmouth bass. A little bit of freshwater action going on, you know, always catching stuff. And, you know, she fishes that skinny water most of the time. So, you know, this is her specialty. Finding, oh, here she is on another one. Like I said, on the paddleboard, getting cute little snook going on. So, you know, always finding a bite, no matter what. All right. This is, I will butcher his name. I can say Nagoyan. Hi, Tat. Nagoyan. Yes. Look at this, a load of bluefish and look down. So, I mean, this is, good Lord. This guy is, he's loaded up here. Bear with me a second. Anyway, yes, a ton of bluefish and look down. This is obviously, I'm not sure if this is a Boynton or not. Sorry about that. I had to take care of something. And back. Focus. Yes. Ton of bluefish, ton of look downs. That's definitely some shore fishing for you right there. It got you know, definitely got put on. And here we go. He says, oh man, look at how big they are too. Definitely good size. Good Lord. All right. Let's keep on keeping on. Do we got anything else? Nothing else really shallow. So now we're going to look at some reef fish. We had a ton of posts this week, in case you can't tell. I feel honored for everybody throwing up their catches this week. All right, let's see. We'll keep going on. That looks a little bit dolphiny. Here we go. Gavin, decent red grouper last night. Yes, and it looks like they got a Celsius down there, something too. Nice. Hey, listen, it's grouper season. We got about a month left, folks. So, catch them while you can. Some good eats right there. More reef stuff. Michael, Nick's Reef Bowl Sunday birthday trip. Yes, 60 to 80 feet. We got some toros, got some porgies, got some mangoes, a little bit of everything. Got some lane snapper, a little bit of everything going on in there. So, yeah. Hey, good stuff, Michael. Thank you for sharing. And hey, I keep saying it, folks. If the trolling is bombing out, this week, and you don't happen to make a quick enough decision, you're way offshore, go on ahead and go on in for the yellowtails. Here he's got the yellowtail in that bucket too. I see him. Hello. It was a tough weekend. Tell me about it. I didn't catch anything. Pulled the best spread and tied 80 feet for 10 ounces. Oof. Good Lord. Man, that's a rough one. Yeah, listen, I trolled, I did a half a day out there with the Slater and we didn't get nothing, but obviously a ton of other folks did. It happens to the best of us. You take it as a learning experience and try to analyze your decision-making process and say, hey, what did I do versus what other folks did. Joel went out and he utterly slaughtered the reef, man. Look at this. He went deep and got some muttons, and this is a shallow water mutton. The greener one is a little bit shallower, and you can see some goggle eyes. They were using as bait. So, hey, good deal, Joel, out on the reef, getting it done. Let's see what else. Sean, he went down to the Keys, and he ended up with, this is just one of his fish. He got a ton of good stuff, but this is a nice red grouper that he pulled right off the elbow. I know where he was at. He was a little bit rounder and deeper. Joel, like I said, out there killing it. Look at this black grouper. Huh. Stud. He's pulled in quite a few of those this year that I've seen. Any more reef stuff going on? Not really too much reef stuff going on. All right. Oh, there we go. This is we'll take Captain Jim on his own 4J's jigs, 4J's charters jigs. They're pretty cool. I've got a couple of them. I'm going to get ready and use them in a show. Yeah, nice fat amberjack right there. Yeah, if you can tell, they're kind of yes, definitely a nice black. Here's a Jim with this these jigs here. They're a very unique shape, and obviously the proof is right there that they definitely do work. So Captain Jim out of Boynton. If you're ever in Boynton, we'll show you a little bit more that he's caught. He was actually mentioned by a magazine, this online magazine on Facebook the other day. So he's working his way up the ranks, and with all due respect, he's a great captain, and he will put you on the bite. So let's talk pelagics now. We got a ton of stuff. Sean, like I said, he went down to the Keys, and here it is, Key Largo, 8 and solid mahi, from biggest to smallest, and a couple of little tunas, black fins over there going on. Sean, and remember, Sean does this all from a jet ski too. So, big props to him. Nick ended up getting out there and hitting it big time. He found the dolphin, found the red grouper, did a little bit of everything. That's a solid haul right there for one day, man. You're going out with a bang and getting it done. Now, here's what I noticed is that there was quite a productive wahoo bite this weekend. Here we got Matt, the Sunday morning off Juneau Ledge, running a black bart spread at 15. So they did some high-speed trolling, and they ended up getting the zebra. Very nice. They credit me saying they've learned a bunch, which is great. Hey, I really appreciate it. But the work is done by you. And you well deserved anytime we get a nice wahoo going on. All right, here we go. Jody Hill, kind of a slow day, but they ended up with some black fins, right? And like I said, it was fairly slow. I didn't even get a bite, much less catch anything. Like I said, it's probably my poor decision making. So I was trying to catch the last few dolphins that were out there. Hey, yes, blackfin going home with some sashimi. Definitely. Nice catch, Jody. Thank you for your contribution. Here's Sean with a little bit of a video of his dolphin. nice take home. And again, like I said, on all on a jet ski. So you ever say it can't be happening? All right, here we go out deep a little bit. Doug, 2 for 2 before 10 a.m. He said he let go the smaller of the ones, kept this one. Very nice. So the swordfish bite is happening out there, folks. You just got to, you can run out there and you can see people fishing it. It's about 1,600 feet, right straight out of Boca. Pretty much go east. You can see the canyons in the water. And I say go with people that know what they're doing before you venture out on your own. All righty. Todd Prince. I see. So like I said, this Wahoo trip that these guys had, awesome. Look at that. A couple of nice ones right there. The Wahoo were biting for some people. And as we're going to see, I'll keep going. Here is Rob. Sorry. Back to the dolphin. A 40-inch cow. That's a big girl right there. So that's a nice cow, for this time of the year, definitely. Putting them in the bucket. Here we go, Doug Schaefer. These guys had a couple of great days Wahoo fishing. We got one right here, and you're going to see a couple more pictures. We'll go down as we go down with them. Sandra, out of Stewart. They found them. I mean, so, the dolphin are still there. You just got to run into them. I missed the mark totally, but obviously other people were getting on them and, having a field day. So, hey, if more power to you. Here's Sean. Like I said, out on the jet ski in the middle of nowhere, catching dolphin. Okay, so don't say it can't be done, folks. There he is, the beast. Joel, on top of catching all the muttons and the black grouper, ended up with a nice sailfish. Look at this. So, hey, and they obviously had an epic outing, and you can't complain. Doug, more of those Wahoo. This is a couple of them, and they got a single one on the other one. Here we go. You see, these guys had a great, it looks like a couple of trips where they got 2 of them one time and then one on the other one. Max out of PSL with the taco time. Ended up with a nice little keeper dolphin. Good to go. Listen, one fish, man, and that's tacos for everybody. Good to go. Like I said, unlimited number of undersized keeper muttons too. Hey, yeah, tell me about it. I've been there, done that, and it happens sometimes. And if you're not feeling it, and the fish are small, move. Todd Prince again with another one. So yes, as you could see, folks, the Wahoo fishing was happening this weekend. I wouldn't have pegged it. And here we go. The best of Boynton, Captain Jim on 4J's charters. Bunch of little nice size black fins. And yes, it is. It happens. That is fishing. I wish it wouldn't happen, but hey, sometimes, you bomb out. Yes, they were all very nice Wahoo. Definitely. They no little dinks in the feed this week. Captain Jim. If you're looking for a charter captain out of Boynton Beach Inlet, Captain Jim, 4J's Charters. Man, he's got a rapport. He's got a laundry list of photos that can show you what you're going to go. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, that, he nice little thing from an online magazine about him. So check him out, Captain Jim. He's a great guy. And, like I said, if you're looking for a captain out of Boynton, get in touch with him. If you can't get in touch with him, hit me up and I'll put you in touch with him. All right. Like I said, there you go. There's the amberjack. All right, folks. So that's a bunch of fish. Let's keep moving on, right? I mean, what can you say? Wahoo were biting. The snapper are biting. So the reef. The snapper biting, right, folks? It's been tough trolling right now. The kingfish and all that Wahoo bite and stuff. It seems sporadic, even though we've got a couple of people that have great days. Hey, more power to them. Well deserved. But if the trolling's kind of petering out, go hit that reef. Start getting in dialed in on yellowtail fishing, doing drifting. We got a month left for grouper. The mutton snapper bite is looking like it's working it. So, go find you some spots and get dialed in on running the drift. Or, like I said, find you a yellowtail spot and get on into that. All right. So let's continue on and see where we're at. We're going to start with some weather, right? What we got right now coming through is a cold front. It's going to come through tomorrow. So if you're going out on your boat, tomorrow is going to be like the last day before it starts picking up. The wind starts picking up. Let's look at windy right here, right? So tomorrow the weather is going to be nice. After it kind of flows through and cools off as night falls, it's not going to be like a cold front, but we will have some places get into the 50s on Friday morning. The wind is going to start kicking up and picking in for going the entire weekend. So let's check that out. So tomorrow, right, cold front's moving down on in. We got winds, offshore. It's going to be 5 knots from the south to start out with in the Tri-County area. A little bit as we head up north, we got that west wind, so it'll be laid down. And if I zoom out, you can actually see the front, right? So it's right about Orlando area tomorrow morning. And then it'll head down as the day, continues on. So tomorrow afternoon, like I said, this is 5 p.m. We'll be hitting the windy part of the cold front, and then it will come through and start hitting us up. And like I said, you're going to have some places in the probably Palm Beaches that'll hit their 50s and stuff. So this will be our second cold front of the year. And if tomorrow, if you can get out and beat the front and do some fishing right in front of it, it'll probably be a fairly good bite. And then we're gonna have to wait for the wind to calm down and then get out there after that and start chasing those fish, because then that's gonna produce that good nice winter bite. And I'm pretty much sure the yellowtail bite and all that stuff is going to start having like some peak moments coming up here real soon. All right, so that's Friday afternoon. Like I said, we're looking at 18 knots from the north, down in the Keys, and even a little bit spicier, right? The West Coast, you got the leeward side of the island, but hey, we're having some weather come in, so just think about that. Saturday, our wind's still ripping, right? We're having it from the northeast, 16 knots. So like I said, after this front kind of rolls on through tomorrow, our wind's going to pick up and you're not going to see much of a change. Saturday, Sunday, looks like it's still ripping 19, high double digits across the whole board, right? So there's not much to really talk about other than it's going to be windy throughout the weekend. Come Sunday, it looks like it wants to start petering down, but I mean, 10 knots, 8 knots from the east is still, some wind. And again, just because it's our wind dies down for a couple hours does not mean at all that it's going to change the weather conditions. However, it looks like starting in after Sunday going into next Monday, it looks like the wind will sort of subside. So we'll see if there's any longevity to that and if it helps the marine conditions sort of lay down. That way we can get out there and hit that post front fishing. As we're going to, it'll be 8 knots and stuff. So probably Monday is starting to it'll look like it starts to let up a little bit. Then really change much in the afternoon, Monday afternoon. And then heading into Tuesday, it looks like we're having something happen where we're going to start ripping from the south again. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll shut that one down and we'll look at WindFinder and see. Oh, you know what? Let's not do that. I shouldn't have shut that down. Let me open that back up. I apologize. We got to go over the wave heights and all that stuff. Let me find it. Yeah, we'll zoom in and then we will reopen that back up. Windy, there we go. All right, cool. All right. Yep. Okay, so my bad. I jumped the gun. All right, let's go over our wave heights, right? So that's right now. So tomorrow, wave heights, we got like easterly, east-headed waves, 2 feet. So from what my understanding is that tomorrow is going to be, the last day before the waves really start picking up because of the passing of the front. Again, this is windy. The website is in the description It's very easy to use. You can click and point. It'll show you what your wave heights are and the directions and stuff. And down at the bottom, if you've never used it, there is a color-coded chart for all the folks that are first time joining us on the show. We are live. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and the Facebook channel for South Florida Saltwater Fishing. All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. All right. Let's keep going on. So that's our tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, like I said, here's our front. So you can see the front. This is tomorrow, 7 p.m. And then heading into Friday and Saturday. It's just that front pushes a bunch of water. So we can, as we can see, you know, just by looking at our color-coded chart, when you get pinks and stuff, these waves are, you know, double digits. You know, well, they're saying 7 foot, but I'm kind of confused because you got a pink colorish of whatever. They're saying, you know, 7 foot, 8 foot seas, which is nothing to mess around with. Even on the inshore stuff, 6 foot. So we're going to have, you know, some waves blasting over Friday. The water push Saturday. The water has pushed by with the front, and then the waves start to calm down. But we still got 6 foot seas out of the northeast at a 6 second. So it's not a swell that's going to be created by this front where you would like it. If you got the wind pushing from the west, it tends to create a swell. Sunday, the period's going to even close down to 5 seconds, 6 foot with a 5 seconds. So yeah, it's not looking too pretty for the whole weekend. It starts to die down a little bit as we saw with the wind Sunday evening into Monday. Start getting some 2 foot waves at 5 seconds. Some Monday, you know, down in the lower end of the Tri-County area and south, heading down into the Keys, it looks like you might be able to do it until we see what happens on Tuesday again with this weather starting to pick back up and this wind blowing from the south. I don't know if it's going to stay, but it looks like, you know, Monday you can get back out there and not be totally getting beat up by the weather. And now let's look at our rain conditions, especially with this front coming through. Right now we got moisture in the sky. It's very cloudy, right? Not much in the way of rainstorms. We're going to probably get some tonight. Yes, which we saw a little bit earlier with the formation of all the rain. Nothing really too downpoury, but it'll happen. You know, here and there, spotty rain showers. Tomorrow, like I said, we're looking dry until our front comes through, but our front is not going to be, it's going to peter out. There's not going to be much rain with it. It'll be cloudy, but you're not going to get that all day, like 8-hour drizzle rain. Maybe a little thing here or there, but nothing like an all day front that slowly passes over. Saturday, pretty dry looking. All the moisture is down here ahead of the front, pushing it with it, and that's that high pressure. And then Sunday, the return of some moisture in the sky, but not really too much of anything in the ways of storms. Monday, same thing, pretty dry, and that's the day where we're looking at our best conditions for anybody to be able to get out other than tomorrow. And then Tuesday, not much, same stuff. All right. So now we can go to WindFinder, which is the numeric version of what we just looked at. And again, all these websites are on our the description in the link of this live session. All right, so let's look at it. Tomorrow, right? Thursday, we got low double digits, right? And this is when our front's coming through. Cloudy. You'll see some moisture happening. But look at our wave heights, 1.6 at 7 seconds. So, you know, kind of swell, not really. And that'll happen all day. And then Friday, we start to see our waves pick up. And again, this is just kind of a generalization. You saw that they were going to be, the wave heights out offshore more will be a little bit more gnarly than they will be, inshore in the sportiness. But definitely, you know, 4 to 6 foot waves, possibly higher periodically, 18 plus high double digits on the winds and the gusts even higher. So, Friday into Saturday, Sunday, it shows like it wanted to start slowing down. This is kind of disagreeing with what Wendy was saying. So the realistic part of this in these forecast models is you have to kind of play it by ear and show, use some of your live feeds, your inlet cams, your beach cams, and everything. Because Monday here, they've got a huge discrepancy. Whereas Wendy was saying, hey, Monday is going to be all cookies and cream. Go back out there, get out there on your boats and have fun. And this one's saying, not so fast. So we'll have to wait and see what the reality of that is, see if any of this is updated by then. And heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, to say it looks like it's going to hold steady as for what was happening on Monday. But again, conflicting with what we just saw from Wendy. So what the reality of it is kind of going to be still to be determined. All right, let's look at our moon phase and see if that's going to help any of us out when it comes to fishing this week. Last week we had the dark side of the moon, but the wahoo fishing was still seeming to be nice, even with the absence of the moon. So right now today, we are waxing, which means we're heading towards the full moon. Waning means you're heading towards the dark side. Waxing means you're gaining moon. You're heading towards the bright side. So today, here we are, Wednesday, the 26th. Tomorrow's Turkey Day, folks. If you're going to get out there and do it, go on ahead. Sure, that's a great way to spend a Thanksgiving. I'm going to be doing it with the family. All right, so tomorrow, 44%. Friday, 55%. Saturday, 65%. Sunday, 76%. Monday, 85%. So, we're heading towards that full moon in the middle of next week. So if any of that's true about the weather kind of laying down and giving in and doing all that goodness when it comes to your moon phase, tomorrow, next week would be a good time to get out and try and see for those wahoo again. The mackerel bite does tend to react pretty good towards the moon. So, coming in right now, not so much, but hey, they're always out there, but they tend to bite a little bit better when you got your moon going on. So next week, and in the middle of the week, we should be maxing out. And then come next weekend, possibly will be another wahoo weekend if the weather decides to cut us. All right, so there's our moon phase, right? It's favorable next week, but the weather isn't really happening. All right, let's take a look at our tides and see what's going to happen if that's also on our side, right? Tides on our side are always the outgoing tides when we're talking about these tides, right? Because it matters for when you are going out the inlet. The inlet, you're fishing the inlet, especially for the land-based guys, or if you're out in front trolling, jigging, chumming for yellowtail, drifting for the mutton, that bite will be non-existent if you have an incoming tide. You need the outgoing tide. And not only do you need the outgoing tide, you need it at the appropriate times of day, which are, around sunrise and around sunset. That's when your bite is most active, right? So right now, as you can see, we've got the end of the tide cycle just happening tomorrow, just before daybreak. And it's better on the outgoing tide in the afternoon. As we approach dusk, you've got several hours where it's working. And as we work towards the week, the 12-hour cycle shifts towards the end of the day. So as you can see, as we approach into the weekend, into that better looking Monday, you will be about halfway through the outflowing tide in the morning if you want to get out there and do that low light level wahoo fishing. And as you can see, the same thing on Sunday and, heading into Monday when our weather might be, doable, you'll have that outgoing tide pulling already by the time you get out there and you're doing your fishing at dusk. So that's our tides. All right. Before we head out, folks, just want to say, if you're in the market for some fishing apparel, right, consider stopping by WindRider. The link is in the description. You can check out the South Florida saltwater fishing shirts. We got our own brand. This is WindRider. They're not a fly-by-night company. They've been around for several years. They've been our sponsor for quite a while. And, they're gracious enough to put our brand on some shirts. So these are UPF 50 shirts that you can get them with hoods and gaiters. You can get them with just a hood. You can get them with nothing, just a long sleeve shirt. Tons of colors, completely customizable. It's not a free for all, but you can make some requests and they'll work with you. And again, if you get the South Florida Saltwater Fishing shirt, you're supporting the brand, letting everybody know that you're out there and you're part of the community. Anyway, so yeah, if you're out there looking for a shirt, check it out. And before we leave, folks, let's run to Facebook real quick. If you're on Facebook, I'll ask you to join South Florida Saltwater Fishing Report. It looks like this, actually, just minus the date. It's a Facebook group. It's not my page. It's not the South Florida Saltwater Fishing Baits. This is a group. This group makes submissions every Monday on our Monday brag board post right here, which we had, this was last week's. They keep throwing me to that. But yeah, this week we had a ton of posts. If you make a post, we will showcase your catch on the show. And from these Monday posts, this is what directly runs this live show every week. People make posts asking questions. Hey, should I go out? This is what the weather looks like. You can post your own fish. You can, questions, anything. It's a, like I said, here we got the Slayer with a couple of fish. It's a community. Okay, folks. So like I said, it's a group. It's not a public group. It's a private group. You have to ask to join. What's your favorite fish, and are you going to abide by the rules? The rules are simple. No screwing around. I'm not even going to go into it. No soliciting. We've managed to weed those guys out. And, YouTube channels we promote. Charter boats we promote. So there's no reason to go on there and promote yourself. We can do it for you. All right. That about does it for this episode, folks. Hopefully, like I said, enjoy your turkey day. Have fun. Be safe. Make sure you come back in one piece. As my boss always says, don't get arrested. And we'll see you next Wednesday, which is our new day now, since we're back making our episodes, and hope to see you Sunday for the episode, which I'm not going to give any surprises away. You'll just have to wait and see what it's going to be. Anyway, we're back up and rolling, folks. Good to be here. And thanks again, everyone, for showing up. Had a blast. We'll see you next Wednesday. Until then, South Florida Saltwater Fishing, going wherever the cool wind takes us.